Hey, it's Zane. Welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you've had a great weekend. And in today's video, I want to talk about why 0.1, 10% of a Bitcoin could have a significant impact on your retirement nest egg. I believe that 0.1 Bitcoin could be your ticket to retirement riches as a baseline. I want to explain to you why that is here in today's video. Now, before I get into this, I just want to let you know, if you don't already, that next week I'm hosting 2 Zoom live stream events, free events on Zoom. You can join me. I'd love you to be there if you'd like to. Wednesday night is session 1. It is at 7 p.m. Wednesday, the 9th of July. I'm also running a session as well on Friday morning, 11 a.m., the 11th of July. So either Wednesday night or Friday morning. If you'd like to join me, these are Australian Eastern Time, so Sydney time, 7 p.m. Wednesday, 11 a.m. Friday. If you'd like to be there, just type Zoom in the comments and I'll post the link for you. You can register and I'd love to see you there. You must register to get access to the event. The event is entitled Why Bitcoin is the New Path to Wealth and Self-Sovereignty. And I'm going to be offering over about a 90-minute presentation, a little bit of history, but also exactly why Bitcoin is the place to be right now, some basic facts and figures for you, a little bit of my personal story, and then also, some tips and guidance for you. And also, if you want to work with me on an ongoing basis, how you can actually do that. So I had great feedback when I ran these events just a few weeks ago. People have been asking me when I'll be doing them again, so next week is the week if you'd like to join me. Just type Zoom in the comments and I'll post the link for you. So let's talk about retirement funding. Let's talk about 0.1 as a baseline, what all this could mean. And the first thing I want to let you know is, if you were paying attention to the news this week, you will have noticed that a major Australian superannuation fund, an industry superannuation fund, collapsed this week. It was called First Guardian. Thousands of Australians have been affected. Many are in limbo as we speak regarding their retirement savings. And earlier this year we had cyber attacks on some major industry super funds, and we also know that there's proposals for taxing unrealized gains in superannuation. All of these things that are going on right now with retirement savings, they should be a concern to you. These are red flags in my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments about all of this. But for me, this is not a time to be putting your head in the sand and ignoring this. You need to be really paying close attention to your retirement savings, to your superannuation. You wouldn't believe how many people I meet every single week who haven't looked at their superannuation funds for over a decade. Some people haven't done it for 20 years. And I guess as we're working through life and just diligently, doing our thing, career, business, raising a family, whatever it might be, we generally don't pay attention to superannuation. We don't think about it. We just kind of allocate to it every fortnight with our salary or whatever it might be. And we kind of think in the back of our mind that one day we're going to wake up and get to retirement age and hopefully we'll have enough to sustain us in a comfortable way. But the truth is, we've been sold a lie with all of that. I mean, you only need to look at the figures and statistics put out by ASFA, the Australian Superannuation Fund Association, every single year. And, you can see that over the past decade, Australian superannuation funds have performed at, 7.5 to 8%. That's the average. It's very, very normal. I'm sure it's the same with 401ks in the US and other major retirement fund accounts. And so people have become, I guess, very much used to the fact that these are normal returns. This is what we can expect in the financial planning industry and the legacy financial system. But unfortunately, in an environment where we have true inflation, real inflation running at more like 13 to 15%. Now, by real inflation, I mean the rate of monetary expansion, money printing, which is diluting the value of your life savings your purchasing power, you've got no control over this. And so in that environment, 7% is not enough. You need to be doing at least double that to be keeping up with true inflation. Otherwise, you're selling out the value of your retirement savings. You're selling out your financial future. And so people are starting to realize now, and they're acting before it's too late, they're realizing, well, I need to be in another asset that is performing way beyond this, way beyond the hurdle rate of 15%. What is the asset to be in? I don't want to get 10 years, 15 years down the track and realize that I should have taken action in 2025 when the future for this asset we call Bitcoin became crystal clear as it is now. And I should have taken some action and started allocating to Bitcoin in a meaningful way. And so every single week, people come to me. I do one-on-one Zoom calls. They come to me and they say, Zane, I believe in this Bitcoin thing. I've done some research. I've read a couple of books. I've listened to some long-form podcasts, maybe with Michael Saylor or a Jeff Booth. I often talk about Tony Yazbek. He's my favorite guy to listen to in Bitcoin, founder of a company called the Bitcoin Way. But, people are doing their own research and they're understanding that this is the place to be parking their long-term savings, their capital. There's a great rotation going on now where people are starting to realize that being exposed fully to the legacy financial system is a big mistake, because the rules are constantly changing, the goalposts are moving. Having all of your assets exposed to the central control system, in my opinion, is going to be a problem moving forward. And so people are realizing that for themselves, and they're starting to say, hang on, there's this decentralized monetary protocol over here called Bitcoin, which is not only crushing every other asset on earth in terms of performance. And if you doubt that, you only need to look at the figures put out by Cathie Wood of ARK Invest and her team, which put out figures quite regularly. They are big fund managers in the US, and they put out some stats earlier this year that show that over the past 7 years, Bitcoin's CAGR, compound annual growth rate, has been running at 59%. 59% compound annual growth rate. Guess what everything else has been doing over the same time frame, over the past 7 years? Real estate, stocks, bonds, shares, currencies, fine art, collectibles, gold, silver, 7.5% to 8%, which pretty much mirrors what your superannuation fund is doing. And so Bitcoin has outperformed everything by 7, 8, 9 times. People are starting to realize this. Maybe they haven't been paying attention, but now they are, and they're saying, well, hang on a minute. Why is this? I need to understand why. What is the likelihood that Bitcoin's compound annual growth is going to continue on this trajectory? And then they're realizing the reason Bitcoin is doing this, the reason it is the fastest horse in the race, is because it is the only asset on earth that is truly fixed and finite. Bitcoin is absolutely scarce. When you own real Bitcoin, you own a piece, a base layer piece of the protocol that is the transformational value system moving into the future. This is where capital is moving to at a great rate of knots. This is why institutions are hoarding Bitcoin. This is why the US government wants Bitcoin in their treasury, because they know that Bitcoin is the only asset on earth, the only monetary protocol that cannot be changed. It's not corrupted, it's fixed, it's finite. There can never be any more Bitcoin. And in terms of a value proposition for the long term, that makes it the most valuable because it is the most scarce. And so when you start allocating to Bitcoin, really what you're doing is parking your long-term capital and savings into a monetary protocol that is mathematically engineered to go up and to the right forever. Bitcoin has no top because fiat currencies have no bottom. And when you understand this and you realize that Bitcoin is absorbing all of the monetary premium and energy out of all of the other financial legacy assets, its trajectory and its growth becomes absolutely clear. This is why it's outperforming everything. This is why it's repricing real estate. This is why it's repricing the stock market. This is why people who have a meaningful allocation to Bitcoin are starting to understand that over time life gets cheaper, cost of living goes down when you start pricing it in Bitcoin as opposed to inflationary fiat currencies. And these are light bulb moments that people are having. Then they're coming to me and they're saying, Zane, we understand this asset. We need your guidance. We need you to take all this noise and information that's out there, these complex concepts, and we need you to keep it simple. And I'll give you the next best steps so that there's no anxiety, there's no stress. You know exactly where to acquire Bitcoin in the most frictionless way in this country and in the US for that matter, where you can allocate to it meaningfully, safely, securely, take it into self-custody, the best self-custody setups and solutions based on where you're at and your situation. And then if you're looking to roll over an underperforming industry super fund into an SMSF, self-managed super fund, where you can acquire Bitcoin and do this fully compliantly, set up by a professional who specializes in setting up self-managed super funds, do it compliantly, buy Bitcoin, and then take self-custody, now all of a sudden you're not exposed to these counterparty risks that currently exist in traditional industry superannuation like we're seeing right now. You know, these cyber attacks, these collapses that are going on. You just don't want your retirement savings caught up in all of that, in my opinion. But if you do, then that's up to you. But at least know the risks associated with that. And so a 0.1 Bitcoin, even if Bitcoin does just 50%, we know it's done 59 over the past 10 years, but let's just say for the sake of today's conversation that Bitcoin does 50% CAGR for the next 15 years. So if you've got a 15-year time horizon where you never want to have to work again, 15 years from now, you can just put your Bitcoin to the side, make sure it's secure, and just move forward with your life, getting about your life, knowing that you have that sitting there. 0.1 of a Bitcoin, which is an allocation of about 10,000 US dollars today, at 50% in 15 years will be worth 4.4 million US dollars, okay, which is about 7 million Aussie at today's exchange rate. And so you don't have to be Einstein to work out that same 10,000 USD, which is about 16,000 Aussie, if you leave it in an asset doing 7 or 8% a year, you're really only going to double your money in 10 years and probably 1.5 times your money in 15 years. And so, you know, it's very, very clear where you need to be allocating while you still can in a meaningful way. We have to understand that the biggest pools of capital are now coming for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a fixed asset. There's never going to be any more than 21 million. 19.7, 19.8 million Bitcoin, something like that, have already been mined and put to market. Right now, there's only about 2 million Bitcoin on exchanges, which are comprised of people who might be selling their Bitcoin, plus the 450 Bitcoin being mined per day at the moment as part of this 4-year cycle that we're in. And so, you know, Bitcoin is not something that is going to be there forever. I believe that we're going to get to a point very, very soon where we're going to wake up one day and you won't be able to just go to an exchange to buy Bitcoin. It won't be readily available because there's going to be a significant supply crunch when it comes to acquiring Bitcoin on exchanges. And then eventually it's going to lead into a circular economy where people are going to be earning Bitcoin, exchanging Bitcoin, peer-to-peer transfer, peer-to-peer electronic monetary exchange, electronic cash, whatever you want to call it, which is really the opening line of Satoshi's white paper from 2009. It's meant to be a medium of exchange, not just a store of value. And so Bitcoin is a medium of exchange, a store of value, and a unit of account. And as you start to realize this, you realize that not only is it the best place to park your long-term capital, but as time goes on, you're also going to be able to interact in a decentralized global free market, a circular economy where the price of everything over time, the longer you hold Bitcoin, gets cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And you're also going to be able to earn Bitcoin. You're going to be able to exchange goods and services in your business as a consultant. Even as an employee, you may demand in the future to be paid in Satoshis, in Bitcoin, instead of in dollars, because you no longer want to earn a inflationary currency that is continually being debased. And this is where we're going right now. Okay, so 0.1 of a Bitcoin, 4.4 million in 15 years if Bitcoin does 50%. Now, if you only have 10 years to retirement, then you probably want to get to one whole Bitcoin, which is about 100,000 USD, as quickly as you possibly can, because in 10 years, if Bitcoin continues its current trajectory and does 50%, then that's going to be worth 5.7 million US dollars, which is about 8 million Aussie. And so people are doing this now. They're going, you know what? I'm going to roll over my underperforming industry super fund. I'm going to set up my SMSF. I'm going to buy 1, 2, 3 Bitcoin, whatever it might be, depending on their personal situation. I'm going to get rid of a couple of investment properties and divest, because I can see the land taxes and the rates and everything getting out of control, and the maintenance and all the headaches with managing tenants, etc. I can see that my real estate, the value of it is falling dramatically when priced in Bitcoin. And so I'll need to get out of it as quickly as I can and get into Bitcoin. People are starting to realize this for themselves. And so this is what's happening. There's a great rotation going on. People are putting capital into Bitcoin. They're locking it away in self-custody. They're doing it right. They're running their own node. They're using the right hardware, and they're making sure that their financial future is secure. Bitcoin is not going away. It is something you have to learn about if you want to be a part of. And I can certainly help you on your way if you need the next best steps, if you want to just bounce some ideas off me, where you're at, your current setup, your current situation. I can give you confidence, I can give you clarity, and I can give you certainty, and I can guide you in the right direction. I do it every single week. You know, if you want to book a call with me, you'll see a link in the show notes, and I'd love to meet you and guide you. We go for about an hour, and I know it'll be the best hour you've ever spent when it comes to learning about Bitcoin and your personal situation. So I'm going to leave it there today. 0.1, it's a great place to start. If you can get to one, get to one. People like Peter Dunworth, who's an Australian financial planner who is very much a Bitcoin bull, very vocal, doing the rounds on Bitcoin podcasts. He believes that we're going to 100x in the next 10 years, which will take us to a $10 million US Bitcoin within 10 years. Michael Saylor just did a keynote speech at Bitcoin Prague just a couple of weeks ago, and he was very vocal about the fact that Bitcoin's going to hit 21 million in 21 years. So that's about a 200x from here. So whichever way you look at it, you know, people a lot smarter than me, you know, who have studied this protocol inside out, upside down, they can see where all of this is going. They can see the mass adoption coming. They can see the biggest pools of capital on earth coming for Bitcoin. And so you've just got to make a choice now as to whether you want to be a part of it. The world's changing fast. You need to change with it. If I can help in any way, just let me know. Book a call with me. If you'd like to join me for my sessions next week, again, type Zoom in the comments, and I'd love to see you there live on Zoom, either Wednesday night or Friday morning. Hope you got some value today. Look forward to seeing you in the next one. This is Zane signing out. Bye for now.